Seven, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother.
All right, welcome to the 11th edition of Amateur Hour. I'm Cody Quartz, the president of SETX FFL. I have a special guest host with me today. It's Bubba Quartz, who I'm related to, because Troy is on a vision quest in the woods of South Carolina right now, trying to find himself. So, Dan, how's it going today?
Well, it's going good, and I'm enjoying being your roommate since, I'm kind of homeless right now. But
yeah, well, that brings us to our first topic. Apparently, there was a hurricane, if no one had heard. And it dumped a bunch of rain, so a lot of people we know are out of homes. So, we feel for all of you guys out there that lost stuff during the storm. I hear the Cajun Navy saved a lot of people.
yes, they did. They actually saved me and my wife. We kind of flooded out at our house, went to her assisted living home, and they're the ones who showed up and boated 20 senior citizens out, and then 4 or 5 hours later, we boated out with them, and they did a great job. And I'd like to, give special thanks to my wife. She helped save a bunch of old people, and end up getting like.
Did she even save you?
Well, I was crying. I'll be honest. I was trying to escape, and she stopped me. It looked like she actually got a call from the governor of Louisiana when we end up somehow in Louisiana and got an award for it. And
Oh, well, that's great.
just did a great job. And, and there's, in the aftermath of all this, I know I'm talking a lot, but.
No, you're great. Go ahead.
Okay, in the aftermath of all this, the people who didn't get damaged, there was a lot of people who did help a lot of people. I mean, y'all did a great job, the police department. I heard, we actually hired people from the shelter yesterday at my job, and they were talking about it's better than the motels they stayed in. So y'all are doing a great job running that. I believe y'all are responsible for it, and y'all doing good.
Yeah, well, for the purposes of this, I do not represent the police department or any
Oh, okay, no
sort of thing like
no. Oh, I know. I forgot. You're not.
that. I'm just me.
Yeah, you're just you. But you're doing a good job anyway.
Yeah,
and
thank you.
and your brother-in-law, my son-in-law, he's helped like 10 families.
So a big shout out to Travis Sims.
Yeah, and Ben Adams, he saved Highway 12, I heard. So
Ben Adams saved a highway. That's pretty
I
great.
mean, he's a big gorilla guy, but he saved the highway. And then, and a lot of members of the herd, I heard, got, a lot of damage. Brandon Granger and the Longs and
Well, Troy did as well.
Troy. And
But he's on his vision quest, so he doesn't
yeah,
know.
yeah. I mean, didn't he go to San Francisco for that quest this time?
No, he went to South Carolina. He's doing a lot there.
I thought he went with Tommy with an I.
No, they hooked up at a different time.
Oh, okay. And
It was a short-term thing.
But in the Northworthies got damaged too, didn't they? And
Chad did. Chad got damaged, but Daniel survived unscathed. So, yeah, we had a lot of guys that got damaged. I know a lot of people that play in the league got damaged. So that kind of brings me to the first thing. We're going to have this fall league. We're going to start it on October 15th, which is a Sunday. And we're only going to charge $150 per team because we know that everyone's paying money to reconstruct their homes and everything else. So the minimum we could charge is $150 just to pay for the field and the other things that we have to do. So we'll do it $150 a team, and you can sign up any day up until October 10th. So that's the announcement. We'll have the league on October 15th. It'll be a full league. We'll go all 10 weeks, weather permitting. I have refs and everything else, so it's $150 per team, and then you'll have to pay for the refs. But we're trying to make it easy on everyone. So if someone can't come up with the money, if someone's having a hardship, just email us, let us know, so that we can work it out. We want everybody to play. We want everybody to have a good time.
that's awesome.
So, but anyway, so we're hoping we have a good show for you today. This first segment was just about that stuff. We wanted to at least talk a little bit about the hurricane and talk a little bit about the upcoming league. We wanted to talk about the Cajun Navy and how they helped people, all the local police departments, how well they did, the fire departments, the National Guard. You know, it's pretty great to see everybody coming together to help. So
can I say something about
yeah, go ahead.
the Louisiana? We somehow ended up in Jennings, and I've never seen treatment like that. There was over 100 volunteers helping a nursing home that was set up in like a hotel. So, I mean, it was unreal. They fed us. I'm going to go back every weekend just so I can eat. I mean, it was awesome.
Yeah. Well, just a backstory on that. My dad and Sherry, my dad's wife, who's an awesome person. She works at a nursing home, and they were evacuating these elderly people because they were stranded. So they got these people out to a place in Jennings, Louisiana. Every single one of them, everybody made it out okay. And at last count, everyone had eaten. They were all doing well. But that's just one of the little tiny stories in the middle of this giant tragedy that has a lot of tiny heroic stories that kind of make it all worthwhile. I know that there's probably a lot of people that lost their homes and everything, but you couldn't look any which way without finding someone with a boat or finding someone that was going to try to help people, which was pretty cool to see.
And I did save my boat. Well, Travis came and got my boat.
I'm glad that your boat is okay.
Hey,
yeah. Well, I'm glad your boat's okay. That's the most important thing, and I'm glad that everyone is fed. No one's starving to death at this moment. But for all those that lost their homes and lost things, we feel for you. We're here for you. If you want to play flag football, come out, have an hour or so distraction on a Sunday, and just come out and play and have a good time. And we will do absolutely anything in the world we can do to help you. So just email us and let us know.
That's great. Thank God football's back.
Yes, football's back, and everyone should be very happy. So, all right, stay tuned to the next segment when we will discuss the McGregor-Mayweather fight.
Oh, Conor McGregor.
And how much truth has to do with anything at all. Stay tuned. Back with segment 2 of Amateur Hour, number 11. Troy's not here because he's on a vision quest somewhere in Sri Lanka. Mayweather-McGregor happened several weeks ago now, but whenever I was putting this together, I had a bunch of stuff for it, so you're going to have to sit there and listen to it. And my theme for Mayweather-McGregor is that people see what they want to see. By that, I mean that Mayweather-McGregor had a lot of similarities to preseason football, the Super Bowl, and presidential elections, because the amount of spectacular way outweighs the amount of legitimacy, except maybe during the Super Bowl, because it tends to get a lot of novices and people who don't usually pay attention to that thing to weigh in, and with social media, it makes everyone's opinion count. So to me, the sentence, "It was a great fight," has only one incorrect word in it, and it's not great, it's fight, because it's hard to argue that something that had so much attention and lasted a good amount of time was not great. It was fun to watch. I enjoyed it, I know everyone enjoyed it that watched it, or most people did, but the correct word isn't fight. To me, it's show, because that was a great show. I don't think it was much of a fight at all.
No, Mayweather's, he's the best, one of the top 5 boxers ever, and for Conor McGregor, who's never actually been in a boxing match, he's extremely awkward, and really Floyd Mayweather didn't really look like he was in great shape, and but he knew he could win, and it's just, it was the awkwardness of McGregor kind of made Mayweather, a little leery to get inside, but he don't get inside anyway. It was just about it went longer than I thought it would.
Well, right, but I think he didn't get inside because he didn't have to, and I think even when he did get inside, he really didn't have to either. And to me, the reason it wasn't a great fight, or a competition for that matter, is that I think if those guys did that 10 times in a row, or 50 times in a row,
Mayweather
or
would win.
100 times in a row, one guy is going to win every time, and it's Mayweather.
Yeah.
So if one of the participants literally has a 0% chance of winning, then can we really call it a great competition? And like Mayweather's statement at the end was pretty telling to me. He said, I wanted to give the fans a good show. In other words, he had a choice to give them a bad show. He could have scored and ducked and dodged for 12 rounds and done everything he always does, and probably countered most of McGregor's punches in the first few rounds, and maybe even KO'd him in the fifth or so. But he didn't do that. He made the best show possible, and it was a sure thing for him. You know, it proved his dominance. He said, I want to give everybody a great show. Who says that? You know, you don't hear Tom Brady in the Super Bowl going, yeah, we wanted to make a good game.
That's true.
I just want to win.
I mean, if Mayweather wanted to, I don't think McGregor could have probably touched him. I mean, and once he found out he really couldn't hurt him, he, like I said, he put on a good show.
Yeah, I think he was just, it was supposed to be his last fight. I think he wanted to go out that way. And also, the man loves money, and the prospect for a rematch is probably pretty clear to him. So, if it goes 9 rounds, a rematch is necessary. If it goes 3, it's probably not so much so.
Well, he's not ever been anybody known to knock anybody out. I mean, he dodges and ducks and counter punches, and
well, he dips, dives, dodges, ducks, and dodges.
Yes, he does. And I heard
just like the movie.
I heard he can dance too.
Can he?
I really did.
There was a rumor that he was giving out $100 gift cards in Beaumont about a week ago for the hurricane thing, and that was not true at all.
No, that wasn't him. That was a guy that looked just like him.
Oh, was it?
But it wasn't him.
Oh, maybe it was Moyd Fayweather.
I think it was Moyd Fayweather.
Moyd Fayweather is an excellent dancer, but he's not
he
a good
is.
boxer.
I mean, well, Floyd can get down on him.
Yeah. Okay.
Troy actually. I mean, I wasn't supposed to say anything. He's actually danced with Floyd Mayweather before. He said.
So Troy and Floyd danced together?
Yeah, it was at some club in Houston.
Was it a warehouse? Were they both sucking on pacifiers and tripping on acid?
Maybe.
I've heard that.
Yeah, Troy, he is on a vision quest.
In Sri Lanka. So my other thing about the fight was, it wasn't fair ever. The comparison I think of is it's kind of like having a basketball player, an NBA player playing against a wheelchair basketball player in murder ball, which is that thing they play where they get in wheelchairs, and it's sort of like rugby and basketball, like all put together, and they're like, doing stuff. So, if you had LeBron James put in a wheelchair in his giant body and told him, all right, Big Daddy, you're going to go and grab this basketball, and you're going to go against the very best murder ball player ever. Well, that paraplegic is going to take LeBron all day long because he's been doing it forever. He's nimble in that wheelchair. And what's LeBron going to do? He can't move. So taking away Conor McGregor's legs and everything else, his holds, is, it's not fair in that way.
If Michael Jordan was in that wheelchair, as competitive as he is, he would really hard foul the paraplegic.
Michael Jordan would lose to that paraplegic every single time.
No, not Jordan.
Well, look, here's the thing. While both have basketballs and nets and courts, the two sports just are not congruent. And while MMA and boxing have rings and punches and douchebag fans, they also are not congruent. So it's just not going to work. I mean, I know
congruent.
Congruent, the same.
Is that an Irish tribe?
No, that's a word.
Oh, okay. Congruent.
So,
my congruent hurts.
While they share a lot of things, they're not the same. Michael Jordan could not compete with Fitzsimonson. Fitzsimonson is the preeminent murder ball player, by the way.
Is there really a thing called murder ball?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a thing. You have to be crippled to do it, but it's a thing.
I'm getting pretty crippled, and I really wanted to come back and play football, but you told me the wheelchair wasn't accessible out there.
Well, we'll work out some sort of murder ball thing, and you can play murder ball flag football and wheel your old ass around.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. So, in my final part of this is that people see what they want to see, and the truth is a funny thing.
I see dead people.
I understand. So if you want to see dead people, you probably can. And I know you believe in ghosts and conspiracies and that Hitler's somewhere alive in the Andes.
Hitler is alive, okay? Well, he's dead now, but never mind.
All right.
Right.
But all can agree that the truth with Mayweather and McGregor was that Mayweather won in a TKO in the 9th round. And the truth in this respect is like Mexican food to me. And because it all has the same ingredients. It all has tortillas, beans, rice, cheese, and meat. Or if you want to talk about the fight, Mayweather wins 9th round TKO. But just like Mexican food, we all want our truth to be fed to us just right. We all want some cheese on our enchiladas, and we all want some sauce on our beans, or opposite. McGregor people want to say that they want to cling on to the thought that Conor would have somehow come back in the last round, and somehow Terry shivoed his way to a 9th round comeback and won. I don't really know, since that woman was already dead and McGregor was already knocked out. But Mayweather fans want to think that Floyd didn't even break a sweat. I'm not saying that either one of those is right or untrue, but one of them has to be, right? I mean, both can't be true. Conor couldn't have always come back and won his way around there, and Floyd, while at the same time Floyd not breaking a sweat and winning. So one of those things is more true than the other, but they both take those essential true facts, and twist them to their own thing. So can't it just all be somewhere in between?
Yes, it can. And I just think people like Conor McGregor because the way he talks. That's why I like him. Just saying.
Because he what?
The way he talks.
Oh, the way he talks.
I like the Irish thing going on.
Oh. Well, why do people like Floyd Mayweather?
They don't.
That's right. All right, so
Floyd's dad don't even like him.
He doesn't?
He just hangs around him because he's like,
oh,
drops a Hunsky on him every now and then.
Well, would a person rather be really liked or really good?
Being liked is important for a lot of athletes, and I mean.
Okay, is being good important?
Yes, if you're an athlete.
Do you think that Tom Brady cares if he's liked?
I think he actually does.
Do you think Bill Belichick cares if he's liked?
I don't think he gives a rat's ass. Just saying.
Okay. All right. So my thing is, in closing for all this thing.
Is it true that Tom Brady has a golden, thing?
Penis?
Yeah.
I don't think Tom Brady has a golden penis.
Huh.
He might. I heard it was made of platinum and unobtainium.
Wow.
From that movie Avatar.
Well, I thought it was
okay,
Ted
so
2 or something.
I haven't watched that movie.
Yeah.
So in my little
heard it.
closing remarks for this thing, this to me is the reason that Fox News, MSNBC, NPR, and whatever network you prefer gets ratings, because people need their truth to be hot or cold, spicy or sweet, liberal or conservative, because the truth with no seasoning is just too goddamn bland. So that's how I feel about that. That to me is why McGregor Mayweather represents the truth, and probably why the truth about this entire segment is that it was kind of crappy.
I thought it was really, really, it was all right.
Yeah, see, same ingredients, two different results. All right, stay tuned for Rex Ryan and Feet.
Oh, man.
Well, it's too long living in the same old life. I feel too cold to live, too young to die. Will you
We're back with whatever segment this is with Amateur Hour. I'm here with special guest host Bubba Courts, because Troy's out on his spirit quest somewhere in the Alps, led by his loyal Sherpa, Samir Du.
They're searching for a Yeti, I heard.
Yes. Well, if Troy finds a Yeti, I'm sure he'll talk a bunch of shit to it and piss it off, so it'll eat him.
Probably so.
Well, in this segment, what we're going to talk about is the Monday Night Football second game, in which Rex Ryan, Beth Mowens, and a little fella named Sergio Dip had a little part in it. So We're going to talk about ESPN and different things like that. So to get started, I'd like to take a trip back in time to 2008. Do you remember 2008, Dad?
Yes, I do. Actually, that was a year after the Herd won its first championship.
Oh, was it?
Yes, it was.
Oh, okay. Did they go undefeated that year?
Yes, they did, 16-0.
Oh, okay.
We beat the Showstoppers, by the way.
Oh, well, all right. There you
Troy
go.
Maddox made a run, flag was missed by Corey Stevenson. I don't remember all of it, but
Oh, I certainly remember that part. Well, okay, so sure, 2008 had some similarities to our current year. Morgan Freeman was still 80 years old, which I guess could also be true of 2002. And Tom Brady was in the Super Bowl, which, again, would also be true of 2002. But, a lot's changed. MySpace reached its peak in December of 2008. But, as we all know, that didn't last long. And don't worry, I'll get to sports stuff here in a second. Did you ever have MySpace, Dad?
no, I didn't.
No, okay. Well,
I wasn't in that cool crowd.
so first I'd like to talk about Facebook's rise and MySpace's demise. And, so what happened? Well, according to former MySpace CEO that no one cares about what his name is, the company wouldn't adapt to what people wanted. His specific example was that MySpace required its users to use a pseudonym, Short, Quick Linebacker would be yours, or Tiny Tyrion Lannister Hands could also be yours.
Little small pee-pee boy could be yours.
That was mine.
Oh, okay. It really was, wasn't it?
I didn't know that. Yeah. I didn't know that you knew that. MySpace required that, and after that, voila, MySpace sucks and Facebook rocks. But it had to have been more than that. My opinion is that Facebook was just more inviting. Your grandmother who just wants to look at pictures of her grandchildren and the occasional misleading news story doesn't want to customize her background and add catchy music to her profile. And as it turns out, neither does anyone else, except for maybe Tila Tequila and Taylor Bebop.
Yeah, Facebook made it easier for, people of all generations to reconnect and...
Yeah, as it turns out, grannies, teenagers, business professionals, and probably even you, whoever's listening to this, want to just connect with your real friends and post ill-advised, mostly ignorant, sometimes illiterate opinions with the minor prospect of getting laid now and again. So, MySpace had problems with stagnation and preoccupation. It was stagnant in its unwillingness to advance and to give consumers what they wanted, and people just wanted to find their friends and relatives, and without knowing what weird internet handle they went by. But that was not MySpace's way. They refused to change their ways. They were preoccupied with giving you nifty background graphics and music and customization for its users. And at a certain age, people just don't want to do that kind of stuff. They don't want to be silly and have, White Snake in the background while they have stickers of, I don't know, whatever thing there for people to look at.
What percentage of people do you think have a Facebook account?
Right now? Mm-hmm. Do you know the answer to that?
No, I don't. That's why I was asking.
In the United States, I would think that more than 50%, probably even more than that.
Oh, I would have to go. Wouldn't you say at least 70? I mean,
yeah, depending on age group, I don't think a whole lot of your 80-year-olds have one. But then again, a whole lot of your 80-year-olds are probably going through some sort of dementia.
Yeah, actually, your Aunt Wanda has one.
Oh, does she?
Yeah.
Well, good.
She talked to me last night.
Oh.
Yeah.
Which Wanda?
Not the one that's nice.
Oh, the nice Aunt Wanda. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Aunt Wanda, if you're listening to this, we appreciate you having a Facebook and listening to the podcast. You're a very nice woman, and thanks for being so nice.
She actually does listen to your podcast.
Oh, my God. Well, anyway.
She's one of your 14.
Good. She's one of the 14 listeners. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. All right. So what I was saying was, that after a while, it would be like featuring a landline set up in each room of a home you're trying to sell. No one uses it, and it just even the looks of it are a turnoff. And when extra things aren't needed, they just become baggage.
Yeah, in 08, I'm pretty sure we did have a landline still.
Yeah. Anything with a landline is now obsolete, including most businesses. So that leads me to ESPN. The worldwide leader in sports has struggled with ratings in the preceding years, and it was forced to lay off a lot of super talented people in the middle part of 2017. The idea was to free up cash in order to buy college football contracts and keep a bunch of NBA games, and maybe most importantly, to keep SportsCenter afloat. The problem is ESPN's become stagnant in their stances on these issues. SportsCenter is the sports version of a landline. No one needs to schedule a time for highlights and scores because you have all those things in the palm of your hand now. I mean, do you watch SportsCenter anymore?
I can't say I hardly do. I mean, no, I really.
And you're
don't.
old.
And I'm old. Yeah.
So
I mean, I can hold stuff in my hand, and we're talking about a cell phone probably, or
yeah,
computer. Yeah,
you have those tiny little hands.
Yeah, and they make them for my hand size.
Yeah, the thing is, so if you want highlights, you can, kind of watch them whenever you want to at any time.
I mean, and you used to watch SportsCenter for the personalities, and now, I mean.
And you can still watch it for Scott Van Pelt. I like Scott Van Pelt, but am I really going to make out time in my day to go watch Scott Van Pelt do some highlights on SportsCenter? And really, no, I got other stuff to do. I used to watch it every single night before I went to bed, but I haven't watched SportsCenter in years because you don't get highlights anymore with that stuff. And that brings me to my next thing that ESPN does. They've, from my perspective at least, become preoccupied with political correctness and super forced diversity. No ESPN event is complete without recognizing the underrepresented, and even when the underrepresented are that way because no one of that gender or culture consumes that product. When Caitlyn Jenner won the Courage Award, it makes a splash and gets ratings, or so say at the ESPN people.
Why did he or she win a Courage Award?
Well, I mean, I think that some would say that it takes a lot of courage.
To whack your wiener off.
Okay. She still has.
Wiener.
No, she actually still has that.
Does she really?
Yeah. But I do think it takes a lot of courage to say this is who I am, and to come out and make that decision and tell it. I do think that takes courage.
Yeah, don't give it to the guy that fights cancer and still goes to work every day.
Well, that was going to be what I was going to say, and I think it's great to celebrate diversity and acceptance, but in my world, intention is most things, if not everything. So, my question to ESPN would be: did Ms. Jenner only win that award because ESPN wanted to appear friendly to the LGBT community? And if that statement is correct, and Ms. Jenner,
I think they wanted to be friendly to the gay community too.
Well, LGBT would be lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender.
That's pretty good. I was just seeing if you knew what.
Yeah, I know.
You know who knows a lot about that?
Me?
Troy Maddox.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Troy is our LGBT person.
Well, after Tommy with an I called in, I would say he really liked Troy.
Yeah. Well, that's why Troy's on the Vision Quest right now. So if that statement's correct, Ms. Jenner was somehow not the most courageous person available. And then what does that mean? Well, I think that means that Ms. Jenner was exploited for ESPN's gains. And perhaps the young girl who persevered through terminal cancer to play in a single college basketball game was a little bit more courageous. I mean, courage is a difficult term to define, and maybe the ESPY award choosers simply thought that Ms. Jenner, that what she did was more courageous and more impactful on society, which I would tend to agree in that respect. But then ESPN does other things in line with the former, more sinister argument, and it seems like they are a bit preoccupied with political correctness at the demise or the deterioration of some of the products they put out. And that's what gets me to Monday Night Football. So, first off, we'll go with stagnation. ESPN, does things the ESPN way in Monday Night Football. They need a certain few ingredients, and what they want is the game to be played, and to hell with the other things that go along with it. So after everyone's laid off, it's like, well, we'll still have 2 Monday Night Football games, and we'll put our A squad on the first game, but the second game we'll put just any 3 people we can find because no one's going to watch that anyway. And or no people are going to watch it just because it's the NFL actually. So my thing is, ESPN gets there's a lot of hubris to what they do sometimes whenever they just say, okay, here's the product, you guys consume it. We know that everything about it except for the game might suck, but you'll get over it. That's kind of insulting to me. I like good talent. Romo does awesome on CBS.
Oh, Romo was unbelievable.
People used to love hearing John Madden and Pat Summerall call games. Aikman, I think, does a good job. There's a lot of good announcers out there that do a good job. And when you completely neglect a lot of things, it's kind of like going to a restaurant and ordering a steak. And, yeah, the steak's delicious. The steak's awesome. But the service sucks, and the lighting's off, and the temperature's wrong, and they get your order a little bit incorrect. Those things add up. And if you have all those things and it's awesome, it makes up for a bad steak, or in this case, a bad football game. So ESPN's been just kind of stagnant in, we're going to show you games, we're going to keep Sports Center, all this other stuff, it's not important to us anymore. It's just the choice they made, but I kind of think it sucks.
It was it was a joke. I mean, I went through the flood like a lot of people did, and come over to your house, and I'm thinking, well, Monday Night Football, it's normalcy. Like you're talking about traditional, and then, Rex Ryan is not on the A team by any means of any sort. The woman did good. Then he throws some French porn star, Sergio Dip, in there, and it was just crazy.
There's the second part of this.
Right.
The preoccupation ESPN has with diversity and political correctness. I feel bad for Sergio Dip. If you don't know, Sergio Dip worked for ESPN Deportes for many years. He probably does a lot of soccer games and things like that. And it's, so I think that the thought was, we have the second Monday Night Football game. We will go ahead and make the show about these three, we'll go ahead and make it these three people who, a female's calling the first game. It's the play-by-play announcer since 1987. We'll put a guy who is Hispanic. By the way, he's Hispanic and not French.
Oh, Sergio, yeah.
On the sidelines, and we'll put Rex Ryan in the box because, he's a big name. So Sergio Dip, though, was the part that they got too preoccupied with diversity. When you hear him speak, they set him up for failure because the man's, English is his second language. So if you had someone with English as their second language, wouldn't it be wise to at least have him someone there to interview with instead of just having him kind of talk generally about the game that he probably mostly doesn't even call?
I mean, why I can't still see. I mean, is that all they got left after they laid everybody off? Or?
Well, like I said, he's worked there for a long time, but he doesn't do NFL games, if he does, he does them in Spanish language.
Yeah.
So to have him just kind of ad-lib what's going on in Vance Joseph's skull is not the best way to introduce your Sergio Dips to the world. Now, to his credit, people made fun of him on the internet, and he took it in stride, and it made me like him a lot because he made some jokes on Twitter that I actually laughed at. But I thought that him even being there and being the sideline reporter was just due to ESPN wanting to have as much diversity and things like that go on without a worry for the quality of the product they're putting out.
Well, I think they expected a lot more out of Rex Ryan. I think they expected him to be, a personality, and he showed very little of his personality. You'd think they would know that, there would be some kind of criteria before you announce a game.
Yeah, and the thing with Rex Ryan, and this is the third part of this, is preparation.
Yeah.
Okay, Rex Ryan was Buddy Ryan's son. He was a defensive coordinator forever in the NFL. Obviously loves football. Lived with his mom in Canada when he was a kid. Loved football so much that she wanted him to move to the United States to live with his father and learn more about football, which is great. But it doesn't make up for preparation. When Romo sits there and probably watches hours and hours of film for the games he's going to do, he has things to talk about. Rex Ryan only has his personality. And when you're trying to analyze a football game, you can't just, it's not the 20-minute interview after the, press conference after the game. You actually have to say relevant stuff sometimes.
Yeah, he definitely didn't do his homework. I mean,
yeah, you kind of take for granted color commentators and even play-by-play people when they talk about, Des Bryant makes a catch. The thing about Des Bryant is I talked to him before the game, and he said that this was a really important game to him. He's had an ankle injury that's been festering, things like that. But Rex Ryan had nothing. He had Rex being himself, and that was just him making redundant statements like, well, when you gain 4 yards, you get all 4 of them. Well, that's not really a good add-in. So, and now I thought Beth Mowins did a good job. It was actually odd to me to hear a female calling a football game, and I even thought it was odd that it was odd.
She's the one who got kind of, to me, screwed in this whole picture of it, because should have been a bigger event. First woman calling a game since, 1987?
Yes.
And it just, I didn't even, did you know there was going to be a woman calling the game?
No, I didn't. And, I mean, that's fine, I guess. But, you could have at least given her some professionals to work with or people that would be good at it. I thought that she had to carry a lot of the broadcast, which probably made her job harder because Rex Ryan, at many points, the guy who loves to talk, especially about himself, she would call say what happened on a play and pause for him to make his little
well, I'm sure,
comment. She just had
Randy
to keep going.
Moss, I mean,
yeah,
I watch him. He actually watches film now. You can tell he has insight on a lot of things that Rex Ryan didn't have. And
yeah, I don't think you can just plug anybody into a broadcasting booth and hope for that. They are just gonna shine. I mean, but it takes away a little bit from the game when you have such poor quality in your color guy and your fella that is on the sidelines because it's distracting. I mean, if they were just average, it wouldn't have even been distracting. But they were poor. They weren't good at what they were doing.
No.
So ESPN to me is becoming a bit like MySpace. It's getting a bit silly. It's got a lot of neat background graphics and music, and they have music videos to go along with highlights. But, where's the content? Where's the fun stuff that we like about Fox Sports and CBS, where Romo tells us what play is coming next? Or, Jay Glazer tells us all the scoops from the inside of the NFL. I like that stuff. Colin
Cowherd now on the Fox pregame. I mean,
these guys have stuff to say that's interesting and fun, and ESPN just wants to double down with, well, you should feel kind of weird and bad about whatever racial, gender, religious, or whatever things going on in the world. Well, that's great. I can watch the news.
I'm kind of curious to see what is their highest rated show. I mean, it probably is Monday Night Football just because it's football, but I would say 30 for 30 might.
The 30 for 30s are awesome. Those are great.
They are. I mean, and they're ESPN too. But I mean, like you said, SportsCenter, I bet their ratings are 0.
I have no idea, but I just know SportsCenter in my world is obsolete. I don't watch it anymore.
Talk about it. Yeah, I used to go to sleep with it on.
I did too. I'd watch the rerun, then I watched the rerun of the rerun, especially when I was in high school. So that's just kind of my take on what ESPN has become. It's kind of like that bright, shiny little object that you see and you're like, wow, that's really neat. I love the graphics and I love everything that's going on. But then when you look at it for about 10 minutes, you're like, okay, all that was bright and shiny.
Well, like, who would you want to do a game with? If they come to you and said, Cody, we want you to do Monday Night Football. You pick anybody you want to work with. Who would it be?
Anyone in the world I'd want to work with to do the Monday Night Football game? I would like to do the Monday Night Football game with Morgan Freeman because I just want to hear his sweet voice the whole time.
Oh, man, that's, I could take it. Don't listen to Morgan Freeman. I'm just saying.
Good.
That's soothing.
That's good. I'm glad that's.
I want Samuel Jackson.
Oh, okay, so you want someone to yell a little bit?
Yeah, I want.
Okay.
bad motherfucker.
Oh, okay. Well, if I could do a game with, you know what, though, if you gave me the choice, I think I would do a game with, like, Kim Jong-un. Don't you think that would be an interesting football broadcast?
No, it'd be-
The whole time, like, he's not going to speak English.
It'll be booming.
So, I'd just say stuff, then he would say stuff in Korean, and, you know, people would wonder if that's, like, the signal to go ahead and launch the warheads or whatever. And I think that would be really awesome. A national broadcast with me and Kim Jong-un on a Monday Night Football thing. That's going to be it. Kim Jong-un.
I want Ryan Long.
Oh, Ryan Long. So you want to do it by yourself?
Shoot, I've heard Ryan. Yeah, I've heard him talk once or twice.
Yeah, well, he'd do better than Rex Ryan.
He'd do a lot better than Rex Ryan. Ryan would probably have a good insight of the game.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's the only person that would be shorter than you to do it with you, so.
Yeah, we see eye to eye.
Yeah, there you go. Well, that's all I have to say about that topic. Do you have anything else?
No, they just need to do better, or they, you know, I know they're under a contract for a long time, but the way things go nowadays, they might end up losing Monday Night Football eventually. I mean,
That's a possibility, so we shall see. You know, I don't think the NFL would ever make someone lose Monday Night Football because of anything like that.
You know, but
they just want money.
there's a bidding wars, you know, going on with all that all the time, and
Yeah,
after their contract runs out, you never know who might end up with it.
that's true.
It
So-
might be the History Channel.
Well, they certainly
The-
don't show history shows anymore. so
No, they don't. The Pawn guys, the Pawn Star guys could narrate.
they
it.
would actually do okay
Yeah,
until
they do.
Chum Lee got arrested for cocaine
Yeah.
and the old man had a heart attack and died.
Oh, yeah. Well, that
So-
might not work out. We'll have to go to maybe Discovery Channel.
Yeah, they also don't show science stuff anymore.
Deadliest Catch guys could do it. Yeah.
I hate the Deadliest Catch.
That's where Troy's at.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Well, Troy, good luck on your vessel. And we will be here next week, or whatever week we feel like it. So, everybody have a good day. Enjoy your hurricane cleanup. And the season starts October 15th.
Sergio Dip.